Coming up on Panther Sports, we learn more about the club swimming team, and we take a closer look at what the term redshirt really means. Also, our Colin Smith will sit down with women's basketball star Cheyanne Parker. All that and more served up hot and fresh right now.
Welcome to this week's Panther Sports. Let's get things started off right with a weekly roundup. I'm Colin Smith, and now it's time for the weekly roundup. This week, the men's basketball team had a couple of tough tests. First, at Indiana State, leading at halftime, but ultimately fell 76-62. HBU had to deal with the hot Indiana State team. They shot 70% from the floor and 100% from the three-point range in the second half to beat the Panthers. Freshman guard Adam Weary led HBU with 12 points. The ultimate stat of the night went to guard Lucas Elty, who led all scorers with 25 points, going 9 for 9 from the floor and 7 for 7 from three-point range. Days later, HBU basketball took on Western Michigan. The men turned a 14-point first half deficit into a 4-point second half lead, but ultimately took a 54-53 loss in the closing seconds to Western Michigan. But with 5 seconds left, the Panthers surrendered a 2-point basket that ended up being the final basket to make the difference. Once again, HBU was led by freshman Adam Weary with 11 points. Slowing down the two-game skid, the Panthers took on Johnson and Wales. And boy, did they stop the skid. HBU did it by winning by 63 points. The final score was 99-36. HBU's defense tightened up, only allowing 10 points in this whole second half. For the Panthers, 13 different players scored, including 6 in double digits. As the High Point University men's basketball team picked up that huge win by forcing 27 turnovers. With the 3-game losing streak, HBU was able to take out their frustration, which, seeing the final outcome of 79-44, isn't a strong enough word. The HBU women's basketball team was led by Lindsey Puckett with 15 points, along with 7 rebounds, 5 of them being offensive. And Cheyanne Parker had a regular double-double, which was no surprise. Then, the ladies took on UAB, but ended up losing despite playing one of their best games of the season. HBU fell 58-53. It was a tough game that ultimately fell in UAB's favor, but could have just as well ended up in an HBU victory. This was a team effort that fell short, but promised to keep the team focused, and the team will use this game as a building block throughout the rest of the season. Then it was on to the Navy Classic, where the Panthers would play 2 games. The first was against Monmouth, and they won 81-74, controlling the game the whole time. But next was Navy, where much of the same happened. Junior Taylor Tremblay led the team with 17 points against Navy and was named the tournament MVP. Redshirt sophomore Lindsey Puckett was also named to the all-tournament team with 10 points against Navy. Despite being behind early, HBU rallied for a strong finish, ended the game with a 63-47 win. Now let's take it to Joe Hutzler with news from around the Big South Conference. Joe?
Thanks, Colin. On Friday's show, we mentioned that Stony Brook and Coastal Carolina were still alive in the NCAA's Football Championship Series. Well, that's no longer the case, as both teams fell this weekend to their respective opponents. Coastal Carolina played 4th seed Old Dominion University in a back-and-forth game that saw the Monarchs finish on top, 63-35. ODU scored 21 points in the final quarter to come away with a win and finish the game with over 130 more total yards than Coastal. The Chanticleers had the game tied with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter before ODU scored 4 unanswered touchdowns to come away with the win. A few hours later, Stony Brook faced 3rd seed Montana State for their second-round match. The Seawolves kept it close, but could never take a lead in the game that saw Montana State victorious 16-10. Stony Brook fumbled the ball 3 times, including on their last drive of the game. MSU quarterback Denarius McGee threw for over 200 yards passing in the win. This is Stony Brook's last season in the Big South football competition, as they will compete in the Colonial Athletic Association starting in 2013. 2 athletes from Big South fall sports programs are being considered for honors that are considered to be the highest in their sport. Ashton Bennett from Coastal Carolina soccer has been named a Herman Trophy semifinalist, and Miguel Masonette from Stony Brook football is one of 3 Walter Payton finalists for 2012. Bennett placed top 5 in the nation in goals with 16 and points with 41. The senior from Jamaica led his team to a 23-2 overall record and a perfect 10 wins in conference play. He also led the team in the quarterfinals of the NCAA tournament. The 3 Herman Trophy finalists will be announced on December 6th, and the winner of the award will be announced January 11th. Masonette, also a senior, is the first player in Stony Brook's history to be selected as a Walter Payton Trophy finalist. This season, he racked up just under 2,000 yards and over 20 touchdowns, one of which came from a 75-yard kickoff return. Masonette will finish his college football career as the Big South's all-time leading rusher. The winner of the award will be announced at the FCS Awards banquet on December 11th. The Big South 5K road race that took place in October generated over $17,000 that will be distributed to middle school athletic departments in Mecklenburg and Union counties in North Carolina. The event has raised over $40,000 in the 3 years it has been held. Conference Commissioner Kyle Callender thanked the participants, saying, quote, "Participation in athletics as recreation is such an important part of the development of character and healthy lifestyle habits, especially in youth. We are happy to do our part and owe a debt of gratitude to all who supported the Big South 5K." End quote. 8 Big South schools kicked off their indoor track and field season last weekend. Gardner-Webb, UNC Asheville, High Point, Radford, Winthrop, VMI, and Coastal all took their fastest runners and strongest throwers to compete around the country. Of note, Liberty's Conroy Smith and Jared Cornfield set meet records in the 200 and 1,000-meter runs, respectively, at the Liberty kickoff. At the JDL college kickoff, High Point's Christian Spaulding, competing in the weight throw, and Caitlin Whittington, competing in the triple jump, both set school indoor records. Finally, UNCA's Millen Ristic set a school record in the 55-meter hurdles at the Appalachian Invitational. Big South schools will next compete in the indoor track meets on January 18th and 19th. Well, Coastal Carolina announced on Friday that it will bring back its Great Baby Race. Yes, you heard it right. The second annual Great Baby Race is scheduled to take place at halftime of Coastal's game against Clemson later this month. Second and third place winners get $75 cash, while the winner will get 75 boxes of diapers. That's all for Big South Sports. Back to you, Colin.
Thanks, Joe. When we come back, we'll talk with women basketball's Cheyanne Parker. Is that all right?
I think someone at my friend's school has this thing called autism. My friend's brother's son has autism. My neighbor's son has autism. My son has autism.
Autism is getting closer to home. Today, 1 in 88 children is diagnosed with autism. That's a 1,000% increase in the last 40 years. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Welcome back. I'm sitting with women's basketball powerhouse Cheyanne Parker. Thanks for joining us today, Cheyanne.
Thank you for having me.
I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of your season this year. What are some of the team goals this year?
We have a lot of team goals. We talk about it in the locker room every once in a while, but I would say our main goal is basically just to get that conference championship and improve each other's confidence while getting that championship.
What are some of your personal goals for this season, though?
Personally, I want to get better every day, keep giving 100%, and get more consistent with everything.
And kind of look at the dynamics of your team. What are kind of the strengths that you see that really make your team?
I would say we're good inside and outside, and once they started to come down on us these past few games on the post, we were able to kick it out and find our open man on the wings as well, because we're a threat on the wing as well. So I would think that was our biggest strength.
And what was it like adjusting to having a new coach after having another one that left?
Well, I mean, since I was a freshman, I started off with Coach Tui Loy, and each year, you know, I get that news. Yeah. So I just learned to focus more on my teammates and the reason why I'm actually out there on the court, and it's for them, and it's not necessarily for the coach. So I just go with the flow, and I really, really like how this coach is. You know, I respect everything she's doing, and she seems to know the right way to go with everything, so it's exciting.
Outside of practice, what are some things that you do to prepare off the court?
Repeat that, I'm sorry.
What are some things that you do off the court to prepare other than practice?
I watch a lot of film of the games, the previous game that we played in. I watch myself as well as a team, and sometimes we get together as a team and we watch film. And we do it without the coaches, and we just basically, you know, call each other out on things we see that we, you know, need to work on or did good on. And we watch a lot of film together, and I do that as well.
See, in the Big South Conference, you do really great in blocks and rebounds. Can you kind of talk about how well your team is doing defensively as well as yourself?
Well, all I can really say about that is, like, I was always taught to, you know, defend and work when defending. And I have very long arms, and I'm 6'4", so I'm going to always, you know, be there for that. And I feel like that's definitely helped with the team as attaining to our defense has definitely helped. And, of course, rebounding that's my bread and butter. I love rebounding because the ball is the most important part of the game. You need that to score. You need that to produce. So
you love defense more than anything of all?
Yeah, absolutely. Defense and rebounding, that's my favorite thing to do.
Last year you were named Big South Defensive Player of the Year. How do you feel about that, and what do you do to kind of like push yourself to even go further this year to regain that and do more possibly?
Mm-hmm. You know, it was an honor to be, you know, named that, especially because my coaches, they were just like, how did you get that? Because, you know, I was pretty lazy last year defensively. But over the summer, I changed my mindset, and I started realizing defense is what makes my offense.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Cheyanne. It was great talking to you.
Great, thank you. I appreciate you, Colin.
Well, after the break, we'll see how the HPU club swimming team is making a splash this season.
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Let's get to know the club swim team a little better. Lene Frazier has the story.
This is only Alyssa Heisler's second year with the HPU club swim team, but she is definitely used to the water. The sophomore has been making waves since she was 8 years old. But even with all that time under her belt, the nerves can still get to her.
I'd say the hardest part for me would be just probably the anxiety before meets, because you don't know if you're going to do well or not, or if your goggles will fall off, but I love it. I love everything about it.
You could find Alyssa and her teammates at the Miller Center pool 3 nights a week. Practices are only an hour each day, but the team makes sure every minute counts. Coach Brian Crowder focuses on quality rather than quantity. He pushes his players from start to finish, leading them through sprints, off-the-block trials, and breathing exercises. So if you ever thought back and forth in the pool was boring, think again.
A lot of people will get bored thinking all you do is look at a black line back and forth, but we try to make it fun and do sprint stuff and try to make every practice different so people don't get bored with it. That's the main thing. A lot of people think it's boring, but you can make it fun.
And for those that figure the laps in the pool are easier than those on land, forget about that too. Alyssa will want to see how you manage in the water.
Sometimes when people compare running to swimming, they don't really think swimming is a hard sport, but I'd like to see those kids that can run get in the water, and people are like, oh yeah, I can beat you on land, and I'm like, get in the water and then I'll show you a good race.
The club swim team is preparing for 2 more meets in the schedule. Then it's off to club nationals next semester in Atlanta. They swam their way into the top 30 for the past 3 years and are gunning for an even better position this season. And while hard work gets them to the top, it's their friendship that keeps it all together.
Coming here, it was such a smooth transition, and I bond well with everyone. It's like a family, not even a team.
This is Lene Frazier for Panther Sports.
When we come back, we'll meet with 3 HPU athletes who are spending more than 4 years as Panthers.
Packers. Vikings. Packers. Vikings. Vikings.
Red state. Blue state. Vegan.
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown. Downtown.
Optimist.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities, our families,
United.
even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
Not all HPU athletes dress in purple this week. We take a look at the practice of redshirting.
Redshirting is a common practice in collegiate sports in which an athlete sits out for a year in order to lengthen his or her period of eligibility. During the redshirt year, the player attends classes, practices with the team, and suits up for but does not play in any games. There are 3 main situations that often result in a player redshirting: lack of experience, injury, and transfer. Athletes often choose to redshirt their freshman year if they are not quite ready for college-level play, or if they are coming onto a team with an older player who already excels in that position on the team. This strategy has served well for redshirt freshman and starting men's soccer keeper Cody Palmer.
I decided to redshirt my freshman year at the end of preseason. The coaching staff and I all felt that it would be much better for me to have a year of experience before I started to play. I got a full year to gain experience from my teammates, from the senior keepers, from just watching the games and seeing the level that everyone was playing at, and I was much better adjusted my sophomore year.
In some cases, athletes suffer debilitating injuries that prevent them from playing. Redshirting gives them the opportunity to heal while still maintaining 4 full years of eligibility, offering benefits both in the classroom and on the playing field. Redshirt senior Sean Wilson sat out his junior year after tearing his ACL during October preseason.
It lightened my class load a lot. Having that 5th year, you don't really have to stockpile credits or anything like that. As an athlete, it allowed me to get stronger both mentally and physically. Taking that entire year off, not having to focus on baseball.
In the case of transfer students, NCAA rules dictate that when a player transfers from one 4-year school to another, they must sit out a year and take a redshirt season. For redshirt sophomore Stacey Robertson, the decision to take a year off was a personal one.
I chose to transfer because my dad got a job here in North Carolina and I didn't want to leave my family. I couldn't imagine playing a game without my family being there.
Though it may not be the most traditional route, redshirting allows college athletes to play the sports they love for a full 4 years.
That's it for tonight's show. We'll see you next week for our final show of the semester. I'm Colin Smith. Good night, everybody.